Taylor.
And I'm Brittany. Together we are two sisters who are here to help you learn some tips and tricks to help navigate this crazy journey called life.
We bring you the perspective of a licensed mental health counselor, aka therapist, and a new mother.
And a slightly eccentric mom of two. When you combine us as sisters, we like to consider ourselves as quite the dynamic duo. So join us as we talk about all life has to offer.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and hit that like, follow, or subscribe button wherever you listen to podcasts for updates. You can also see all of our expressions and interactions posted on YouTube channel under Uhane Counseling.
If you're liking what you hear, leave us a 5-star review. It helps us know what content you like and spreads the love to others to get resources and help for their mental health. Okay, friends, so we're so excited today. We have our first special guest. I mean, we had Kayla on.
Is she not special?
She is. Like, we have our second.
She's a therapist like me.
Well, and Kayla works at your practice.
Yeah, it's kind of
so
like
it
this.
was kind of like we were so excited with that one.
Yeah.
But today we have our friend Janette Johnson here from Spark Hot Yoga. So Janette, do you want to say hi?
Hi, everybody. So happy to be here.
We're excited.
We're so excited to have her here. So we'll do a quick background on Janette real fast. We're really excited. Janette has a really good energy, and you guys will pick up on that really fast. So she's just a really happy, positive person, and she does a lot of good. So Janette's been teaching yoga and wellness classes for more than 15 years and is known for her lighthearted, playful approach to movement and life, like I said. Driven by a deep-rooted passion for education and service, Janette is involved with the Snohomish Education Foundation and is devoted to growing her teen yoga program. She is a proud yet exhausted mom to 2 teenage boys.
Wait,
hence...
Now they're old, aren't they?
One's 21 and one's 18.
Okay, so kind of teenagers.
Kind of teenagers.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I was like, I love that.
21, isn't that
Oh,
crazy?
2 boys, period.
Right?
She relies on the stress-reducing benefits of yoga, and except for when he leaves the TV on after he walks out of the living room, Janette is over the moon in love with her husband, Brian, and she's a dog mom to the world's cutest Havanese dog. No debate about it. He really is the cutest.
Oh, don't tell
I know.
You know what? He can handle it. I'm like, everybody's dog is their favorite.
Yeah.
So like you can handle it.
Yes.
I love that.
Okay, what's your dog name, though?
competition?
His name is Graham. Do you want to know where he got his name
Where?
from Jimmy Graham from the Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, cute.
No, Annette loves Seahawks.
I do. I love my Seahawks football.
Matson hates them.
Oh, no. I have a lot of, yeah.
We're Niners, but we like Seahawks too. We're fine.
Oh my gosh. You have to come. You have to come some Sunday. I do Seahawk abs.
Oh no, I've been.
Yeah. So we do 12
I've
of
been
them.
and it's not fun.
Okay.
And I always joke that isn't it a good thing I'm not a 49er fan? We do 49
true.
of them. But
That's
yeah.
true.
I love
Don't
my
give our
Graham.
dad ideas.
I know. No, Matson's the, what are they called? The Washington? I think they're just called Washington now.
Washington's, yeah.
Yeah, they changed the name. But
Yes.
yeah, that's
I
it.
couldn't remember what their name is now.
Okay.
We know a lot of
He grew
people
up in
our
Virginia,
house.
so.
Makes sense.
All right, let's dive into this. We're just so excited to have Janette with us here today.
Yeah. So a little icebreaker. We want to ask you a fun question for the subject, and then we'll kind of go into the subject a little bit. Janette, what's something small that always makes your day better?
Okay, well, we already talked about him, but that would be Graham.
No.
Graham is small. Well, I mean, he's not like super small, but he's Havanese, but he's my favorite thing. He's my favorite
How big
thing.
is he? He's like 10 pounds?
Well, I mean, he should be 13, but we're a little closer to the 14, 15
Oh,
pounds.
so he's
Oh,
a little
he's a
chunky.
chunky.
I like to say he's big bone.
He's fluffy.
Big bone. My very good friend Risha, who you've probably seen at the yoga
Yeah.
studio a handful of times, she has his brother, Keikoa.
Cute.
And Keikoa is like maybe 9 pounds wet.
Oh.
But they like literally same litter, same situation. And Graham's just a big bone. He's here for life.
I mean,
But
that's
he's my
Koa.
favorite.
Koa turned out like double the size of all of his brothers.
Because I have a brother too.
It's more
Same
And hers
Yeah.
is 30 pounds and Koa's 65 to 70.
Yeah.
See?
Coco's like 33 on a fat day.
That's
We're really proud of him. He was like 28 for a long. He was a rut, so
Yeah.
he was like
Oh
tiny.
my
So
Yeah. No, we take a lot of walks. We're trying to get our weight down a little bit, but
He's
trying to get
like Koa. They just have a big energy.
There's
They-
big energy, lots of, and he's snuggly, and I love him. And since my kids have left for college, he is by my side.
He's
and
your
he knows
baby?
He's my baby. and he
Are you
knows
dressing
when I
him up
need
for Halloween?
No, I don't dress him up for Halloween. I should.
I
but
tortured Koa into it.
It's okay. I say let's do it. I said let's go. But we had a rough summer with Graham. Graham my groomer actually found a tumor on his toe, so we had a toe amputated this summer.
Poor baby.
Yeah. I know.
How is he doing without his toe?
He's doing great. I'm broke, but he's doing
No, they're worth it.
great.
I would be broke too.
He's doing great. I had to carry him around. He had a shoe on.
Stop. Oh my goodness.
You could have gone to one of the scooters.
Right? I should have, because I carried that dog around, and my husband's like, I can't believe this is timing because the kids left about 3 or 4 weeks after the dog was finally healed. I was like, I had the baby on the baby just to get myself ready to let go. Of my
Yeah,
baby.
you're like,
Yeah.
this is my
But he's
coping
my
skill.
favorite part of the day. I love to give him morning snuggles, and he's the best way.
How old is he now?
Let's see, he's 10 years young.
I love that.
Yay,
So
10
cute.
years.
Oh, I love dogs,
Me
guys.
too. Me too.
Big advocate here, but everyone knows I'm a little crazy. It's fine.
Her first baby.
I know, that's true. Okay, so we were going to talk about happy habits, and when I thought about that, like, because we're paired with Spark Yoga Studio for our teen program, so we'll probably talk about that a lot. But the person, because I was like, we're going to bring in like a bunch of yoga teachers and have guests from you guys because you're amazing people with such wide backgrounds.
Thank
You got some cool teachers there. I mean, I think that's why I love. Yeah, that's why I keep trying to get her to go, and she's scared of the hot.
I know.
Don't be scared.
I'm not scared of the yoga. I'm scared of the hot.
No, listen, I've been doing it for a long time. Haven't lost anybody yet.
I know.
I'm like, if I can do it pregnant, you can do it.
Exactly.
I know.
Madison did it on Saturday, and
I'm stronger than Matt.
Oh my goodness, it was like a pool, though, guys. It was literally like
That's
doing like
okay.
swimming,
That's
and
a
I was
lot
like,
of toxins, but
oh
it's
my
right now. He's feeling better. Yeah.
anyways, I thought of like for happiness, you are always just happy. I know you got things going on, but you just have an optimistic personality.
Oh, thank you.
So I was going to talk a little bit in teen yoga. We talked a lot about the 4 chemicals with them this month, and that's where, just a little background of where they come from and the habits that we can do. So like the first one is oxytocin, which is released automatically by looking at a dog. I always brag about this one. So it's like the love bug chemical, but it's our connection one and the one that makes us feel better. There's serotonin, which is the self-confidence one, things that make you feel like your self-esteem is up or that you're like validating yourself. There's dopamine, which is the reward or hunter-gatherer vibe. So this is very very Darwin kind of vibes,
Mm-hmm.
And then the last one is endorphins, which is a painkiller. So the goal is to try and get as many released in a day as possible, or as many like bang for your buck. So like dogs are the biggest bang for your buck if you're playing with them, or yoga. So it's finding activities that really highlight those. The things that are addictive, though, I've noticed are also big bangs for your buck.
Yeah. And I feel like
So-
we do have an episode about this. We can link to it in our show notes.
Yeah, we do. We have one from last year. We have such a log now.
I know. I think we really dive into each of these different chemicals and how to find them. So if this is something you're curious about, check out our show notes and we will have it linked. So we'll dive more into the science behind it.
This is definitely an application episode.
Yeah.
Of like, what do we do that makes us happy and how can we release it? So some of the examples that I pulled up are like, petting a dog or going to yoga, taking care of yourself. Massages can be really good for you too. Or,
Do you know what I did today? I went to yoga and then I went and had a massage.
Oh, that sounds like a perfect day. Man.
So I was like, I'm doing a really good job, you guys.
Yes.
So I am doing self-care really well today.
do you just go to your like staff's classes, or what do you do?
Yeah, I was at Chuck's class this morning. It was great.
Chuck is insane.
Yeah, it was real hard, but I did good.
Chuck is amazing, but
really-
he's the owner in Marysville.
Okay.
Like, so he's like,
Oh, you've told me about Chuck. You're
I have. I'm terrified of Chuck.
No, actually, I
No.
kind of really like him because they go fast,
Mhm.
which I kind of like. And then I like how it challenges me. He always has a great playlist too. And then
And he's like got such a good vibe as a person too.
Yeah.
Like he's a great teacher. He just, I was scared postpartum. That's right. I was like, I do not have the abs to do his class.
We'll get you back in.
I know. So that's where, and AJ too was kind of scary for me.
Oh, and just get you. Oh, bad.
And I was like, those guys that's a good one.
No, they're good. They're good.
You had a good Thursday then.
I know. I'm doing A plus.
A plus.
Good job for me today.
I love that. So today we're going to talk about ways that we regularly try and incorporate like these habits in our lives. Janette, you have a huge background in yoga.
I do.
Obviously.
I do. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about kind of like the incorporation. Does that sound good?
That
Yeah.
sounds fantastic.
Application of how to get all these chemicals going.
I feel like this is the one that clients always ask me on the most too, is like, well, how? Like they get the science and and we have so much information, like everyone gets it, but they need examples. They need people living it. And I think that's the hard part, is living it. So
For sure.
we're going to talk about that today.
I'm living it today.
Okay, Janette.
Yeah.
So you are our yoga expert. Let's dive into this. So
Yogurt?
yoga.
I think
Did I say
yogurt?
Do you?
Did I say yoga?
I mean, I know a lot, but I'm not mad at yogurt. But yeah,
Thanks.
Yoga. What was your journey in entering the yoga world and choosing this as your profession, as well as creating your own studio?
Well, I first took my first class with Colleen, who's actually the teacher that's been with me the longest, and she's actually the reason Spark Hot Yoga exists. She's the one that made me sign the lease all those years ago. But I had 2 little kids at home, and she was teaching hot yoga, and she invited me to go one time, and I was like, oh gosh, it took move mountains to get the 2 kids, do the whole thing. And I went, and I loved it, and I didn't realize how much I needed it and how much I was giving everything to these 2 kids and nothing for me. And that was it. We took classes together probably 2 or 3 years, and then went off and did my own little thing. And I've had Spark for 11 years now. It'll be 12 years next May. And it started out, actually, I was a big shift in life. I had 2 younger kids, and my life went sideways. And I found myself needing to restart everything on my own. And so it was just me, the boys, and all that I needed to start Spark. So it was a big gamble. It was everything I had kind of rolled up into one. So a lot of literal sweat went into starting Spark, and a lot of tears, but I just knew I wanted to do it a certain way. I wanted to be really, really welcoming. I wanted it to be a place that anybody could go, and you could do yoga or not do yoga. You could lie down on your mat and cry. I had somebody in my class yesterday that just lay there and cried the whole hour. And I thought, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I'm here. And this is what we do. So it came out of just friends saying, come on, you need to get out of the house. We need to go do this, and grew into a passion. And I think for me, it was, I needed to do something for me, but then I didn't realize just how much better I felt after doing any kind of yoga or any kind of movement. Right. It was a dancer for a long time. I used to taught dance lessons. So it's not that big of a for me, but I feel like yoga is more accessible for a lot of people, and has kind of that idea of you're moving, but you can move in your own little bubble on your mat, where sometimes more of the dancing world is a little bit on show, there's lots of eyeballs on you. And
I was a dance mom for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I watched that.
But
show.
I think it's
she
interesting.
Just stopped last year.
I think it's interesting because you're right. You reach such a bigger population. Like I am very shy for that kind of stuff. Brittany probably danced class before I would. And
I can't dance though.
I know, but you would do
I'm
it.
a great dance mom.
You are a great dance mom. But I think it's cool because you have created a community. Like I've made a lot of friends from yoga just being at your studio.
That's my favorite thing. I think that's it is hard. I remember before I opened Spark, I went to a yoga conference in San Francisco. So this had been like 12 or 13 years ago. And there was a panel of businessmen, lawyers, attorneys, and
fancy
studio owners, all sorts of a big panel of stuff. And I remember this attorney saying that nobody opens a yoga studio to make money, and that most yoga studios don't make it past 5 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had literally just put everything I had into this.
You're like,
great. I just signed the lease, had all that. I mean, this was it. And I remember going, oh my gosh, what did I just go and do?
So
yeah.
And then I thought to myself, well, I'm going to go down trying. So when we hit the 5-year mark, I shared that with one of my classes about how, hey, we weren't supposed to be here till 5. And then when we hit the 10, which came after COVID, I was like, it's bigger than me, and it's needed in the community. As I always say, I think the most important part of yoga class, one is getting there, like making a decision to get up and go to yoga, or if you're doing it in your home too. But if you're getting up to go to yoga, which I think is for me works because I squirrel at home. I can't practice at home. I have to get in my car, get there, and I have somebody to tell me what to do. And I teach it for a living, but it's me to tell me what to do. Hardest part of yoga is getting to yoga, but the most magic I see, well, I don't know, maybe 50-50, but a lot of the magic I see happens in the lobby. In the locker room. It's that community. It's that sense of whether it be, like just recently we had a mom in tears because she dropped off her kindergartner for the first time because school just started back up. So there was that versus we've had, births and passings, and we've had big things and scary things happen. And just knowing you're not alone, I think is really helpful. And then you can kind of walk into the room and do your practice and kind of sit with where you're at, but know you're not alone. I think that's really helpful too. So
I love that.
I think that's a long answer to your question.
No, but it answered other questions we wanted to ask you too. So it's because when we thought about you, we were like, her connection, like you have a great connection with the community.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool.
Well, that's really, really important to me. And we have always had community classes. That's been a big, huge passion project of mine. A lot of local nonprofits. I think giving back is important at a human level, but I also feel like as a small business owner, it's my responsibility to give back to the community and help. So kids, teens, and education have always been my biggest passion. I was raised by 2 school teachers, so I have that kind of admiration and love and affection for teachers, particularly middle school teachers. That's a whole other story.
Oh yeah.
They,
Oh my goodness.
they are rock stars. They're little rock stars.
I'm a middle school mom.
Oh, you are also a rock star. You are also a rock star. But that's kind of where, like I said, I just wanted to do, I've always said to my staff, I said, I want us to do yoga to do good. And whether that means the person that's coming in to take a class or raising money, to help, whether it be the food bank or other nonprofits that we help. And that's kind of where the teen yoga came from, that love of passion and giving back, and definitely kids and teens.
It's so cool.
So yeah,
It's a unique thing.
It is a very unique thing.
I'm very proud of it.
Well, I've been to a lot of yoga studios and I've never felt this comfortable or this I've never actually made friends from the studio. And I'm like, I love the teacher. Like Mattson always jokes. He's like, you're obsessed with all these teachers. I'm like, but I love them. Like Mo is my favorite.
Right. We do love Mo. We do love Mo. Although Mo will burn out your shoulders like it's nobody's business.
She's scary.
She was. But that actually is like the biggest compliment you can give me, is that it just feels like a community. It feels like a great place to go and to be. And I want it to be that. Like I said, I want it to be a place where you can not be all of your titles and all of your responsibilities. And to me, that's one of the, that's the oxytocin for me, is like, hey, you don't have to be a mom for a minute. You don't have to be a business owner for a minute. You don't have to be a spouse or you don't have to be a member of kind of the wackadoodle world we're in. Sometimes you can just be a human on your mat and breathe. And as long as you have a place to feel like you can do that, then we should all do more of that.
I love that.
Wherever it is.
Well, compliments to you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say compliments to the chef, because if I could do it, I'd be a chef.
Oh my goodness, I love that. I would be a skincare person.
Would you?
Yeah.
If
I wasn't a therapist, I'd be an esthetician.
I'm totally a foodie.
Matt's a mess.
Yeah.
I'd be Barbara.
I'm terrible at it. Barbara Streisand. Yes. Funny girl.
Good one.
So, Janette, how do you feel like owning the studio and being such a central part of the community has created and shaped your lifestyle?
I think, first of all, it had to, because it is my life.
Yeah.
And the small business owners out there,
When you own it, it's your whole world.
It's your whole life. And it took a long time to find balance. I'm still working through it. Yeah. And it becomes your life, so it has to. And I think, but I'm so grateful that I get to create a life that works around this business and around what we do. It doesn't hurt that I love it. And I love teaching yoga. I love teaching yoga and taking yoga. I'm learning to love the business side of it. I've always kind of had a little bit of a business kind of and writing kind of passion. So it's a great way to combine it. But it just did. And so I have instilled in my kids that they need to move. And it kind of helps a little bit with our eating and our wellness and our overall kind of thing. I think for me, though, when I realized it kind of worked was my, both of my kids are very, very, very tall. My oldest, who's 21, was a basketball player in high school. He's 6'6",
okay.
7", like really tall.
We have tall uncles like that. Yeah.
Can't buy jeans kind of tall. Like that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Kind of tall. And he, his senior year was super big, high, stressful game against their rivals. And he ended up getting the winning basket in the last 2 seconds, his 3-pointer, and we were down.
That's so cool.
It was that kind of moment. Like we
did
still
he go to Snohomish or Glacier Peak?
Glacier Peak.
That's
okay.
okay.
This is a game against Jackson. This is their big rival.
Oh yeah.
And so AJ was up there, and it was just it was amazing. And I normally hold myself together, but I completely lost it in the bleachers. And I was just, it was just that moment. It was that moment. But anyhow, when we all kind of came down off of cloud 9 a little bit later, I was like, "Hey, how'd that go down?" And he said, I knew his best bud, Bobby, had passed him the ball, that he was able to, and he goes, I knew Bobby was going to pass it to me. So I took a deep yoga breath and made the shot.
That's like the biggest compliment ever.
I was done.
I did that.
Scene.
I helped with this.
So that was like where I'm like, okay, we've taken this and we've worked it into our lifestyle. We've worked it into hey, when things get really stressful, take a deep yoga breath.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's like a second instinct for me. Like when he was really stressed, he thought of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key is it should be a part of our instincts instead of.
Yeah.
What's interesting is my little guy, he's 8, and he loves to just we'll catch him for the last couple of years, forever.
Yeah.
He'll just randomly just sit there namaste.
Is that amazing?
He's
Like crisscross.
Yeah, he'll just be like, and he's like, I'm just breathing.
Nope.
And he's like, I just need a minute.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay.
Don't you wish you had that in your toolbox when we were younger?
Yes.
So glad that it's become the way we mainstream. The way we live. We take a deep breath. We just kind of we move through it. So that was how.
But I love that it's no longer such a taboo thing either. Because I remember when I first got into it, some people are resistant because they think it's going to mean this about me, or it's like a religious practice, or
it's a hippie thing, or it's a
and it's been really interesting to see how even in like COVID time, I feel like people still totally shifted over COVID to accept it more. And it's such a,
I think that to me, that is yoga. And I have such a respect for the practice and the history of it and all that. But to me, the yoga is what you need it to be for you.
Yes.
So it can look a certain way, however you want it. You can apply what you need in your life for it, or not. So that's kind of like one of my goals, was to create a space that just was welcome for all of that, but didn't make you feel like you needed to.
So do you feel like you use intentions a lot? Because I feel like whenever you guide us, it's very like set an intention, set a practice.
Yeah, I do. I will be honest. A large portion of it is coming from what I'm experiencing in my life. And I couldn't not, because it couldn't be anything inauthentic. But like, I mentioned, my kids just went off to school. So I have had major change. I have an empty nest now. It's very quiet. And, God, I love that dog.
Yeah.
Back to the dog. He's being parented really well.
Amazing.
Really well. But that was a big,
I'm glad somebody else is crazy besides me.
No, it's a big change, and I don't do change well. So a lot of my classes lately have been talking about change and like, hey, we can't control everything. Change is going to happen, and so that's kind of where the intention comes in. Usually, it's things that's going on in my life or things going on in our world. And one of the cool things about teaching this many years to this many thousands and thousands of classes now, I think I'm close to like 3,000 classes. That's
amazing.
Just at Spark alone. And I had, a little yoga life before that, but, is that I can read a room. And that sounds a little like yoga, like what?
No, I get it.
But I can totally feel the energy in the room. I can tell what's going on. Like there was a class a little while ago where I was like, I'll just come back in an hour, because they were all just sleeping on their mats and quiet. The room was dark, and I was like, you all need something really slow and calming and and then there's other days when I can feel the energy and I'm like, all right, let's get playful and try things. So I think that's some of my intention is intuition, and then some of it is just my own.
But I think that in and of itself is a happy habit, because it's
absolutely.
And it's funny is that you mentioned it, because I remember specifically the class that I came up after you, and I was like, would you ever be interested in doing teen yoga with me? And it was one that you were very like, you read the room well, and I could read it because that's what I do. So like I could read it too. I was like, this lady has like a sense, like, what you're doing. And it was like so cool, because I was like, she's like a therapist, but she's just got her own yoga take on it. But you've like learned how to make it a part of your intuition. I think that's a part of just a basic happy habit, is like, do you use, there was this book a long time ago and I forgot what it's called. I need to find it again now, but it's talking about how like we train our instincts to no longer talk to us anymore. And we're retraining them because what society tells us to do. So anxiety takes over and depression and all these other things. But if you look at like, back to dogs, because they're basic, but if you look at dogs or even kids, there's such good instincts and such base awareness of how people are feeling or a situation in a read, that I've never tried to squash out of Koa, because that's Koa's whole job, right? But and that's where I think we squash it out of ourselves. But if you can incorporate into your day-to-day life, it's just a basic happy habit, and you get so many cool interactions. Like we created a whole program because you went with your intuition, and I was like, you got it. Like
it's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, and the power of intentions too. Like even at this last event that we just went to, the skydive Snohomish or sunset yoga.
How cool was it when they like jumped? I thought it was
so cool. Magical.
But I know.
Lauren, is that the name of the gal who taught the class?
Haley.
Sorry. I kind of know her, but so Haley, like when she was setting that intention, like there's such power in that. Like I remember her saying like, you are a person that takes care of your mental, physical, and emotional health. Or spiritual health. And I was like, I told Taylor that afterwards. I was like, this is my intention. And she's like, since when are you that person? And I was like, since now. Right. Like Haley told me that I am doing this. And there's such power in taking that moment to be like, I'm setting this intention. And how cool that you get to do that.
Yeah. Oh, it's like, what an honor that I get to do that. But I just love that.
Use the word I like.
If honor that and you grab that nugget, then we did our business.
Like I wrote that down and I was like, I am that person. Like I'm striving to be that person.
But it was really cool. So Brittany's on like her anniversary of her first year of being divorced and single momming it. And it kind of like lined up with her timeline, like anniversary of that event. And it was really cool to see my sister finally come back to life, where I was like, and she was like, oh, I'm gonna cry, this stupid pregnancy. No, it's just
let's just all cry. I love that too. I love that for you. I love that you had your moment where you're like, and I'm back. And I'm back. Here we are, and it felt like a very like true to me moment. Like we watched the sunset and then we like closed our eyes and like set our intentions, and then the moon was there. Right. And I was like, okay, I have come full circle. Right.
Like, and it was just one of those like that that piece and I try to be a pretty intentional person on things, but like
and sometimes you need someone to put it together in words that click. I mean, that was a gorgeous place to have it all together too.
And it was just the perfect circumstance. Yeah.
But you just had it all come together. I described sidebar to divorce, but I did because we talk about it a lot in the lobby of the studio because it happens. We're coming.
But it's like single mom stuff. Like I love the studio because it's like everybody just got similar things.
Divorce is very it's like a roller coaster ride, and you feel like you're at the bottom of the roller coaster for a really long time, but eventually it comes back up on the other side, and that's why whenever people have that going on or challenges, like I have a lot of people right now, they're dealing with older parents and those things, and like we're gonna keep climbing up this roller coaster, and every time you get on your mat, you're that much closer because you're that much closer to you, and who you really are and who you're supposed to be, and it's just our job to help guide you there, and you'll find that on your own. But
there's such power there though. Like,
have you noticed like the more you're in this practice, the connection between the mind and body, like what have you explored with that? I guess I'm curious, like,
I would say a couple different things on that one. So I'm 51 now, and I'm
sorry. I look at you and I'm like, I don't think 50s, but that's what
so we've been talking about. It's my skin routine. No, just kidding. It's not at all. It's the massage today. But no, for me, it's been learning to listen to the body. And I talk about this a lot in my classes too, that we do yoga to feel good and to feel good in our body. But we also do yoga because it teaches us what's going on in our body, what it can do, what it can't do. And most importantly, in my opinion, well, not maybe most importantly, but very importantly, is it teaches us when something's wrong. So over the years, I've noticed myself when something's wrong. And then I've noticed in others. And two things on that is, one, I have a very good friend who I lost to colon cancer. 3 years ago now.
I'm sorry.
And she was so amazing. And when I remember she was coming to practice as best she could through, all of the treatments and everything she was going through. And she said, I just want everybody in this room to listen to their body, She was ignoring a few things that she...
Intuition.
And I think that the yoga heightens your intuition. I think it teaches
it does.
I always see her face sometimes when I'm, kind of either teaching or my own practice. And then I was actually coming from the studio. It was not even a year old. I don't think it was a year old. I was coming up from the studio on Highway 9 and I was T-boned. So I was very horrible, awful accident. Thankfully, I was just me in my car and a gentleman in his car. We both were injured, but nothing hugely. But I ended up with pretty severe back injury. So I had 2 back surgeries.
You would never
in the
know.
last 10 years. Right. Well, one, I attribute it to yoga. And I also attribute it, like I do have some anatomy. So I knew some of that and some of the strength training and that kind of thing. But I also know that I really can listen to what's going on. So I can tell if it's a day where I can't twist today, or it's a good day, or I need to get my core tightened back up a little bit because of this. So for me, and my back issues, which is why I do talk a lot about spine, it's why we plank so much in my classes, because
I love plank.
Well, good. You should come.
I love plank.
It's the number one thing for my
my little guy for his plank challenge.
Yeah. You totally should. But yeah, so for me, I think that's it twofold. One, I learned I listen to it when something's wrong and it's telling me, hey, I'm not feeling good today in the back area. Let's ease up. And then 2, I always see my friend. And I remember if something doesn't feel like, I'm going to listen to that and sit with it for a second. But on the other side too, it also makes you just feel darn good. I left this morning after Chuck's class. I was like, gosh, I love yoga.
You're like in the yoga.
I just love
yoga class. Oh yeah.
You're just flying high. So yeah.
Well, it's interesting because I had the opposite where I have all the training for understanding like the body and the brain and all of that. But then I was able, like last year, I almost went to labor at 30 weeks with Banks. Yeah. Because of some
just some stress,
life situations. And it just triggered my body really bad. But because of the training that I had from school, but then because of the years I've done yoga since I was like 13. So I've had years of like knowing my body. My doctor was like, how are you? How did you stop this? Like what happened? And I was like, I just knew my body and I knew like I needed to calm down and I knew how to calm it down. And she was like, but it was interesting because I had the reverse where I had the application. Once I had the knowledge, I could figure out how to do the application.
When I had a similar thing, natural childbirth was unexpected for me.
Whoa.
And it was one of those, like, I didn't have a choice.
That was my nightmare.
And it was like,
it scarred me.
I didn't have a choice. And I wasn't prepped for it. I was ready for drugs, right? I was like, here we go. But the only thing that got me through was my deep yoga breathing. And it was one of those, like,
we're going to do this.
I got to do this.
I got to do this. The mind over matter, too.
And that was such a good thing for me to be like, I literally went through like the worst physical pain I had ever felt, and I was able to bear it because I knew how to breathe.
Yep.
And then calm down. Like, and it was like, that's such power. Like, our bodies need this.
Yeah, but that's where I tell my teens, because I'm a somatic therapist. So it's in biofeedback. So it's a lot of like, this is what's happening physiologically. And then this is how you can regulate it. And I always go back to, if you want to learn, just go to yoga. And I'm just like, just get your yoga. Yeah, because it's so easy to map it, body scans, all of it. I'm like, it's very quick shot. Like if you combine the two so well.
Yeah. But
and they teach it in yoga.
So even when you leave the mat, you have those kind of feelings or lessons or whatever those moments that your practice gave you. Because that's why like yoga keeps going. It keeps going.
Yeah. It's this concentrated skill. And it's fascinating because even like how you guys talk and how yoga teachers guide you, like I remember the last one Mo was like, make sure your toes are up and you're on your, like such a small, dumb thing where you like lift your shoulders up, like and then like she'll come. Pregnant me is like a hot mess. So she was like twisting my hips and like, okay, go this way. I was like, I didn't even know my hip was not up. And, like,
she's so good at that.
Oh
She's
my
like
goodness.
an whisperer.
She really is. And I'm like,
how did you know I was my toes were gripping them? How did you know I was doing?
Yeah, she comes up and she bends my hip back, and I was like, how did you know I had hip problems? She's like, I could see it. I was like,
you're so good at it.
But I love that. That's like how you guys are trained, but it's also like the association behind things. So I think that's a good way for intuition.
Yeah. There's so much our bodies can learn from it. So okay. The other thing too is just joy. Like, how have you seen movement bring so much joy into your life and spreading that to others?
I think for me, movement has always been my joy. It's always been kind of my thing, even like walking dogs. We'll talk about weight. You should have me back when you're ready to do a perimenopause podcast because I'm all about it right now.
All right.
So I'm walking with the weight.
I'm going to get training on it.
I'm doing this whole thing. Even if it's just getting. Oh, are you?
I am. I'm doing a hormone training. We can and I wanted to do a podcast on this, but I literally am going to do for how it affects mental health because it's been so significant. And then I have some books I can give you too.
Okay. Well,
I'm very excited about this. Yeah.
So look forward to this later, guys.
Right? No, seriously. I can tell you all. One of the reasons I'm kind of a big campaigner for it now. My friends always get like, you stop talking about menopause, is because we don't talk about it.
No, we don't.
And we never did. And I'm on a mission. Like I'll talk about it in my yoga classes, even about it. Like, did you know frozen shoulder is very common in women that are going through perimenopause or menopause? What? I didn't know. A lot of people have shoulder surgeries that we just a hormone thing. But I digress just to say that I take my weighted vest walks in the morning, almost every morning. I do. And I love that. Like, that's how I have to start my day there. And that kind of centers me so that I can get on my mat, whether it be in teacher mode or in taking a class mode. But it just moving brings me joy. And I think that's the beautiful thing about yoga is it does combine the moving, but it also encourages the stillness because that's a little bit more of a challenge for me. So being still, like I have to. It's why we have power yin on our schedule because I can't do a whole hour yin. I can't do yin.
No, but it drives me back. So yin is the really slow one where you hold them for 2 minutes or something like that. So like each pose is held for multiple minutes. And I did it once, a whole one of it. I'm like, I'm never doing a whole one again. And then I saw power yin and power is like a normal flow.
Okay.
So it's like half and half.
Yes.
Like a little bit more
like that.
Oh, that was it. And it was really good. Like I felt like I got what I needed where I stretched, but then it was, I got a flow.
Right. So that's kind of the... Yeah. Oh no. Oh, I do. And then I have to. But I also recognize. Okay, then you need this. Like I need to personalities. Slow down and I was like, there's personalities opposite because we're all very big movers. Yeah. There's opposite ones like that would be happy to be just chilling. Yeah. I'm like, I'm gonna go crazy. No, I can't. I have to do a little bit of movement. But I think that's it. I think just moving brings me joy, and then I love the people. I love the students that come in. I try to know all their stories and their things, and then I love my staff. They're like 27 of my kids.
Yeah.
So cool.
It's really cute. Like it's a family.
It is.
It's a little family there.
You guys, you've done a good job with this. Like, it's just such a good community and yeah.
Thank you.
The joy that you spread. Yeah. Okay. So let's dive into the teen program. Like, why has the teen program become such a passion project for you?
We're going to say, first of all, I was bawling at Sunset Yoga after the teen yoga and after we introduced you guys. I was just like, it was this moment of like, we did this.
I know.
I was so proud and so excited. And it really is. I am really proud of a lot of different things I've done. As a woman, as a wife, as a mother, as a business owner, but the teen program is one of my greatest joys and accomplishments. And I'm very, very, very passionate about it. It stemmed from COVID. And when we first opened our doors up after COVID, there were so many tears on the mats. I mean, adults, we primarily,
It was
just
rough.
so many tears. And then just interact with my kids and their ages when one was in high school and one was in middle school, when we kind of came out on the other side of that, and watching and seeing, I'm like, oh, we need a collective hug. These teens have been in their bedrooms for 2 years and their anxiety is on high. And so when we had we had a first teen class, I remember we had like 33 people.
It was a lot.
A lot of people.
It was amazing.
I think I went to that one.
And the moment, I think so. I think so too.
Yeah.
The moment where I realized we need to turn this into something bigger than us and have it grow and have it really be all the different things we wanted to be was that night. It was an evening class back then. It was like 8 o'clock at night. So I had said to everybody, I need to see the eyeballs of the people picking you up because I just want to make sure everyone got to this. The mom and me, like, I want to see you line up. And there was a mom who came out, and she's a little courtyard in front of the studio. And I saw her come out of the car, and her daughter walked out the door and walked right up to mom and hugged her. And then daughter went right to the car and got in. And the mom stood there for a second. So she's facing the studio, and I was sitting at the desk just, again, watching, making sure there was contact. Everybody was getting in their right cars and all that. And the mom was just standing there. And I was like, oh, so I snuck out the door and I was like, are you okay? And she's bawling. And she said, she hasn't touched me in 2 years.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was right at the end of COVID. She's like, I don't know what you did, but you brought my daughter back to me, and she has not touched me. This is the happiest I've seen her. And like,
So
I'm crying,
sweet.
she's crying.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, we're on to something here, that these teens needed just to have a place where they could feel really safe, really comfortable, really vulnerable. They could feel like they're not alone going through this. And so that was my big pivotal moment of like, hey, we're doing this right. There's a need. We're doing this right. And then I just think it'd be very hard to be a teen with social media right now. And if we could do any little thing, one little thing to help them navigate that. I am 51 and I find myself feeling bad about myself after getting on Instagram for a while.
It's a hot mess.
It's mostly dogs and recipes, but other than the dogs and recipes, there's still things where I'm like,
follow accounts because I'm like, I feel like I'm just not going to manage that.
And we're trained in this. We've got a background in this. We're and imagine if you're in those formative years and you don't. So I think just anything we can do to give them more tools to, for confidence, dealing with anxiety, social issues, then that's our responsibility. And opening this program up to sponsors, like other businesses see it too, and other people. We're not the only ones who realized, hey, this group, this demographic needs some help. They need some helping hands, and if we can help a little bit, then I
think it was fascinating because I've always specialized with teens since I was training and being a therapist, but I got my license in 2019. Like I graduated school in 2019, I got my license, and then I started with teens, and that 2019 was right before
COVID.
Yep.
And my practice blew up. Do you remember?
I do.
I was like, had a wait list. I had a wait list after 6 months of COVID. And I was like, I'm sorry. And I was working 35 hours a week, which we don't do that as therapists. We work 15 to 20.
Like so many people
I was
out all the time.
exhausted. And I was like, I'm bursting. I need a community. I can't do this alone. So it's interesting because COVID really sped things up for people. And I could see how parents were just like desperate for anything. And I was like, I can't give all the therapy. I need other people involved in the community. So it's cool that.
Yeah. I think, COVID gets a bad rap, as it should. It wasn't lovely, but I will say one of the things it did, at least for me, and I hope maybe other people might have grabbed this lesson too, is that we need community.
100%.
And part of my hope is that we can create a community for teens that's a good fit, a safe fit, a welcome fit, that kind of thing. Because I think also from that, a lot of communities that weren't necessarily positive or came from it. But we saw we needed connection. We needed human connection from that. And I think it's our job.
But you just said the key word is we needed human connections. And I think that was really undersold before 2020 and 2021.
I agree.
Where, everyone was like, oh, we can do it online or we can do whatever. And now everyone's pushing, like my husband's company and everyone's pushing back. We need to be in person. We need to be in person. And everyone was just relieved during COVID when I was like, yes, you can come in person. And there was a dog and a person. They're like, what? And it was fascinating. But did you guys know that now it's actually a childhood adverse? So there's an ACE score. It's like adverse childhood experiences to rank how much trauma is in your life when you're early on. And now living through a pandemic, it is. But I think it's cool because it shed light for there's more wide things that are happening to people that we aren't addressing, we aren't recognizing. And there are shared experiences that we think are normal and we normalize them.
Right.
And it's like, no, that's not normal. No,
Right.
that was really
Yeah.
hard in your development. And you can see how it's
Mhm.
affected their development over the years too. So
I feel like we have an obligation to help with it. Like we
Yeah.
can't change we can't change the last 4 years, but we have an obligation to learn from it and grow and try to,
be better.
be better, and then also provide resources, which is to me what the teen yoga program is. And I won't sugarcoat it either. I also just want teens doing yoga. Like to me, there's much more behind this than just here's a free yoga class for teens.
Yeah.
For me, it's I want you to fall in love with yoga, and if it's not yoga, maybe it's movement or maybe it's something else. And maybe you'll make a friend. I remember there was one night a couple. Oh gosh, it was probably about almost a year ago, where they were sharing their Snapchat people. I don't know.
Yeah, they were swapping
their stuff. Like they met, they were in different schools, and they met, and I was like, boom, we did it today. Like this was all we had to do today was get this.
I remember that one.
But also in the back of my head was you also did yoga, and we packaged it in a way where maybe when you have a test coming up in high school, you'll know I'm going to go to yoga class, or I'm going to put it on my video or thing and do it. Or in college, you're like, I'm going to find a yoga class at my school or my job or whatever it is. So if we're just also planning, we're getting them through the teens, but we're also planting seeds that yoga or any form of movement is going to help.
Yeah.
And then I love the fact that we're bringing in the parent component, because I think you mentioned this too. I think the parents, they want to be there. They want to help. They want to say the right thing. But I think a lot of times they're afraid. And I know what that's like to be the mom of a teenager. And you're like, could you roll your eyes anymore at me? I'm like, you're right. I know nothing. But so having them have some tools just built their confidence up too. So that's what I love about her.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing I wanted was just, I need a community. I can't, I can provide as much information and as many resources. I can't do anything but to do this. I can't create this without you. And that's where it was huge.
Right,
the fact that they had people, I'm like, done. So I have some really socially awkward kids that will come and they're here for social skills. Literally. I'm like, you're going to teen yoga. And it's literally been my saving grace. I'm like, I couldn't have developed the skill without this program, or I couldn't have moved them forward in their therapy without it. And I think that's the coolest thing. You can't replicate human relationships without a community, you have to.
And I think that you said to you're going to go to yoga, you're going to go to this class at this place, you're going to go. That's huge. It's so huge. Many, especially a little bit more introverted, or we're behind a screen.
It's epic for them to do anything in a group, like-minded, just to be in public. I'm like, you don't even have to move your body. You can sit like a slug and pet my dog. I don't
gonna be there. You're gonna.
But the fact that you're sharing a space with other humans and listening to other humans is huge, because you're stuck in your room all day long.
Right. Yeah. I just went there. I had a mom actually ask me a couple weeks ago before the one we had in Snohomish about it. She's like, I don't know. She's 13 and she'll go. And I said, here's what I always say, and it's worked for a couple different ones. Like, see if they can get a couple friends, you pick them all up, and then just say, we're gonna check it out. If it doesn't work, I'll be in the car. We can leave, and then afterwards we'll go get a Simply Sweet cupcake.
Yes.
Or we'll go to Top It and Snohomish or something, whatever. And so put it in a little tiny bit of a package or some little things around it, so it doesn't feel like this big thing we're doing. And I talked to her and she's like, I just need to get her there. And as soon as she walked in the door, it was a great, positive, awesome experience.
Okay, was it the group of girls that came with all their friends? I think she won the giveaway.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because we did. Yeah,
she did her
and she was. This is so cute, because this girl was so excited. She didn't know a dog was going to be there, and she lost her mind. She's like, "Is he going to be here at everyone?" And I'm like, yes, everyone. Like, he should be. Like, we're never right here, but I'm giving birth in December, so she's like, okay, so not then. I'm like, yeah, just for a second, but he'll be here every time I'm here. Yeah, she's
so cute.
And she was so excited, but I'm like,
that was them. She's like, I don't know, and I was like, we package it.
She was so excited, and she left, and I had pens, and she's like, these are cute, and I'm like, you can keep it. And she's like, no way, I get a pen, and I get a liver bag, and there's a dog. And I was like,
you're like, yeah, bring more.
Day ever.
No, I literally was like, do you want to bring more friends next time? She's like, yeah. I'm like,
yeah.
Love it.
Well, and the thing my brain is going to, especially as a mom of, my daughter's almost 13, is it's one of those, even if they don't fall in love with yoga, or even if it doesn't introduce them to hey, I want to get into this sport or whatever, but they're learning these skills. Like your son on the basketball court, right? Before he shot that winning basket, he was able to take that breath, be mindful, set his intention. And I think that this is such a skill for these kids.
Exactly.
Whether they're getting out for social things, or it's just being in tune with their mind and their body, and whether that's finding more joy, setting their intentions, learning how to manage their breathing, whatever that is, so good.
I agree too. And like I said, just lifelong. Like, let's.
I know, but you can't like buy these things. I think that's the thing where I like keep going back. I'm like, I can't replicate this without the community and the fact that we have the community supporting us now. Even like,
isn't that amazing?
Yes,
so amazing.
I've had so many parents like come up to me like, wait, this is happening. This is amazing. And I'm like, yeah, we have a community supporting your teen just for you.
Right. And how good does that feel as a parent even? I mean, let alone the fact we're able to do this for the teens, but as a parent to be like, wait, what? There's other businesses in the area that are helping support our teens because they see they need it. And our teens, I'm super proud of it.
It makes it feel like cute small town, like Americana, like Gilmore Girls style kind of thing. I love Gilmore Girls.
Miss Patty. Here now.
I know. That's like, but
now, I'm just kidding.
Better than Miss Patty. Miss Patty's crazy.
I will not make you Miss Patty.
Stop it.
It's the dance background.
It's kind of fitting. It kind of sort of is. Yeah.
I can see it.
I love this.
Yeah, I feel like, Janette, do you have any other things you wanted to talk about today? I was trying to think, like,
I think we kind of got all of our questions we wanted to ask you and dive in, but we're just so glad you're here. But
oh, thank you. I'm so glad I'm here. I will talk about yoga all day. I'll talk about teens the next day. Like, I love that we've combined the two. It's like, seriously, it's one of the things I'm most proud of, but I'm so grateful we found you guys and for the connection of it. And to me, that's just the beauty of it. Like I said, it's the people and the community. And
well, I think it's something so simple that started something so big. Like, I went there for a workout for me because I like yoga, and then it was it created something I could never pictured. So
I know, and we've done that over and over, and as if we can keep doing
that's what I feel like you do though. I'm like, Matson keeps being like, you need to learn from Janette. I do. I need to learn how to be like Janette and to create programs. And he's like, yes, you do.
Jeanette is awesome.
Jeanette also needs to work on learning how to say no, but that's a whole other conversation. Is that a podcast?
We got to do a PPAC. People Pleasers Anonymous.
Oh, I'm a big oh my goodness. Okay. My love
I'm the president.
Maybe we should have that. Okay. Should I be back for Boundaries 101?
Be back for that. Yeah. No, my love language is gifts. Like, that's how I just, and my husband's like, when are you going to stop loving your language so much? I'm like, I can't. Look what I found. This is perfect. This is a perfect way to say thank you. This is a perfect birthday present for this person coming up.
Cute.
You should really stop with the gifts. No, I just can't. It's my thing. So.
Well, but even if, mine is I always am like doing service or something. And I'm like, then I burn myself out because I'm giving. And then it's,
No, that's what
I get you.
Yeah. I love being of service. And don't you guys wish you could be philanthropists?
Oh, yes. That'd be amazing.
I love that.
Where's my trust fund?
Right? Look, if you find yours, you know where to find me.
Wish there was more of me. I'm like,
well,
it's fine.
Yeah.
We have just the right amount of you.
Yeah.
The perfect
then be more therapists in the world.
That's probably, that's probably, that's
we need more therapists and more yoga teachers.
And I love one of my teachers is going to school to be a therapist.
I know. I taught Kayla, right?
Yeah.
I just talked to her the other day, and she's going to be on the podcast.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
And she didn't realize I can supervise her. So it's like, you can
look at that connection. Look at that community.
Love that.
Well, that's the thing. Because Matson's like, I'm very I don't know if you know this about me. I'm very picky on who I partner with, and I'm very picky on programs and like who I hire. So
no, I didn't. I thought you were just like, let's just take that lady from the yoga studio.
No, I'm literally I have to be
random lady.
You can ask for me, but I want the quality. Like, I have a certain style. I want people to be loving and encompassing, and so. But Kayla has that same vibe too. So it's like, she's so sweet. So I was like, I can supervise. I know, but. That's what you created. I know, but that's where it's cool. And I know it wasn't easy. I think that's the one last question I had for you is how did you, when it wasn't easy, when it was, because there are times where you're down, it's trials. How did you still keep a little bit of light in your life? It's just knowing it was needed. I just knew, it was a real struggle surviving COVID, real.
Yeah.
I just paid off my last loan. it took every penny I have. It blew through my
because you guys had to shut down, right?
We shut down for so long.
Yeah.
But we had to pay rent.
Yeah.
There was no break for that. It was
crazy.
It was crazy. And like I said, yoga studios I did not get into it to make money. I got into it to kind of be a service because I felt like I wanted to bring yoga to the community. So surviving COVID in particular was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But I remember sitting in my backyard and we were knee deep in the full on shutdown kind of thing. And we had a Zoom with all of my staff and then also the staff in the Marysville location. And we got on and, all these million squares. And I just had this moment where I was like, keep fight for every single one of those squares, you know, the Zoom squares.
Yeah.
There's probably a word for that. But I was looking at all these people who have dedicated, I mean, they were here. They're like, what can we do to help? We want to be in this.
Yeah.
And I was looking at them, I'm like, I need to provide a place for these people to do what they do, because I just knew the world was going to need it and need us on the other side of it. And I took a picture actually of the screen of all the teachers, and I was like, I've got to make it work no matter what it takes. We've got to make it work. So I think for me, it's the giving back piece of it. And also we just need it. And if I needed any validation of that, it was when we did first open back up. We went through so many tissues, you guys.
Aww.
People were just crying because it was so much pent up. And so just that whole piece of it was all I needed to see was this is way bigger than me. It's about community. And I just want a place that can be there for others. And that's what kind of drives me and pushes me to kind of keep doing different things and growing. And yeah, so
That's
definitely
so cool.
community and the service part of it.
I think you can like sum up this whole thing in one, as your happy habit is like connection.
Yeah,
People
for
are
sure.
They give you life and they help you thrive.
This is why it's hard that my kids went to college.
I know. Like, what do you, so who's
But
just a
you have
baby?
your
You
dog.
have your
I got my dog and I got my yoga, so I'm getting
You can baby my bababies. I got plenty of them.
I already offered. I will
I was like,
already offered.
another one for
There
you.
you
Thank you.
I'll take what you take.
My babies are just as many aunties in the world as possible. So I'm
You
getting
can sign up.
I'm like, please line up.
You
peeps.
change a diaper like it's no.
Oh my goodness. But that's what I love though, is like I do feel like I actually got friends in a community when I moved back, and it was COVID and I didn't really have anybody, and it came a lot from the studio. So connection, happy habits.
Thank you. Yep.
I think it's fascinating.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you, Janette, for coming and joining us.
You guys.
So fun to just kind of reflect and think more about the purpose of yoga and
Yeah.
how it can really benefit our lives.
Let's keep spreading the joy.
I'm gonna bring you back for hormones.
Oh, I'm there.
I love
I'll
it.
wear my weighted vest.
Let's do it.
I love this, but make sure you look really cool, sweatband and all.
Yeah.
There. I'm there. I might have a hot flash of that, but they have to be perfect. So I am in.
It's like being pregnant. I get those all the time. Like,
It's a vibe. Yeah. Yeah. Just remember that feeling. It's going to come back.
It's coming back.
what a gift.
It is.
Well, thank you, friends. We hope you enjoyed our episode today. We will have more guests on our podcast soon, and Janette will be back, obviously. So don't forget to follow us on social media through Uhane Counseling, and you can find us on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks. We'll see you later.
Bye.